to summer?
Yes, but I have a lot and I think go around home, but I think
Jake, can you hear us okay? Jake?
yes.
Well, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the 2026 Builders meeting. We're glad that you came. We are recording this meeting and it will be posted to the website for folks that couldn't make it at this time. My name's Joanne Jensen. I'm the general manager here at Sudden Valley. I returned to duty on November the 1st this year. And for the most of 2025, I was retired, didn't stick, so I came back. I was general manager from 2023 through the end of 2024. So I'm glad to be back, glad to be at this meeting. It's a great opportunity for you to ask any of the questions that you have about construction projects here in Sudden Valley, to ask questions about the architectural guidelines that are published for the association, and to get to know people and processes just a little bit better. We do have a lot of slides with a lot of information, so we're going to move quickly through them. If you have a question though, I would ask that you go ahead and just raise your hand, and that goes for our online attendees as well. Okay, if there's a question about a topic that's being addressed, let's get it out and discuss it in process, not hold everything to the end. Okay, I'd like to introduce our two main presenters and our very special guest. We'll start with Alan Helvasian, who is SVCA's compliance manager. He is joined by Jerry Gangle, or Jerome Gangle, what do you prefer?
Either's fine.
Either's fine, so you get to pick. But Jerry is a contractor. He is our architectural control inspector, and he is primarily the person who helps with all of the inspections and follow-up site visits to a construction project here at Sudden Valley. Our special guest is Daniel Rodriguez, who is the chair of the ACC, the Architectural Control Committee, and that's a very, very important group here at Sudden Valley. That is the group that evaluates new construction requests and makes determinations as to what is allowed to be built here on Sudden Valley property. So we all have a couple of slides to share with you today, and without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Daniel to explain about the ACC.
Hi, thank you for being here. My group is the group that you meet with at this table or on Zoom every other Thursday. And after you speak with Jerry and Alan, and they get you through the process a little bit, then you come to meet with our group, the ACC Architectural Control Committee. By the time you come here, you have a presentation ready and we've looked at it. We usually get your application maybe a week before the actual meeting. We sort of individually review what you've applied for and what all the ramifications are, and on the following Tuesday we'll go out and have a tour and see some of the property, actually go visit a lot of the properties, because we do look at these things individually. We consider all the options and all the neighboring properties and how they'll fit with in the context of the neighbors that you'll be building around. So we've got a committee of 5. We've got a landscape designer, we've got a private investigator, we've got Joe Jean has probably has the most institutional knowledge of Sudden Valley of anybody I know here. So those are some of the members on our committee. Let's see what else I have for notes here.
One of the interesting things about the Architectural Control Committee is that they're established in the restricted covenants of the association, which means they're not a committee of the board. That doesn't mean that they don't work with the board, obviously they do, and if they want to change a policy, they have to get board approval, but they are a committee that is integral to the running of the association, and the association, of course, is controlled by those restrictive covenants. That's how we know what our goals are and what we're allowed to do and not do. So it's a very special committee.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we live here and we talk to our neighbors and we meet at the dog park, we meet at, just walking down the street, we meet at trivia night. So we know what the neighborhood wants, what the residents of Sudden Valley want, what they don't want. And that sort of informs our decisions when we come to the tables on Thursday and look at your applications. And we also like to keep this as sort of an open dialogue with the builders too, because if we may be proposing certain solutions for things for Sudden Valley that maybe you have better ideas. So we do want to hear what you have to say. We don't want this to be a one-sided conversation. So you can meet us at our tours on Tuesdays, or actually come to the meeting here, and we have a few minutes before our agenda starts when we talk to anybody who wants to talk to some of the issues that come up with the ACC.
All right, so some of the most commonly asked questions about governance, it is the number one question, is everybody wants to know, why do I have to get SVCA's permission? I already have a permit from Whatcom County. And the reason is that, again, our restrictive covenants require owners get AC approval before beginning construction. Those restrictive covenants are attached to the deed of every property owner here in Sudden Valley. So it's not something that's optional. That requirement passes as you sell your property. And our requirements are in addition to those imposed by Whatcom County. So Whatcom County may think something's hunky-dory, but if it doesn't also comply with Sudden Valley rules about building, then you might be in trouble. And you can find out what our policies are by looking at the Architectural Control Policy document, which is on our website, suddenvalley.com. It can be a confusing website because it's old-fashioned and it's stuffed full of content. It is brim full of content. And the way to get to that AC Policies document is on the top menu. There's a choice called Resident Resources. You click that and then click Covenants and Governing Documents. And it's a smorgasbord, one of the items being the architectural control policies. There were some changes recently approved by the Board of Directors in February of this year. We added some new definitions for things that have emerged as being important to new construction. And there's a new policy around ditches. We created a new appendix, it's Appendix K, and it's a guide to creating erosion-resistant ditches. Not on the New York Times bestseller list, but very useful information. So Alan is going to take us through those changes.
Actually, Jerry's going to follow.
Oh, Jerry.
Sorry.
Got some new definitions, like Joanne was saying. First one, we've added a definition of quarry spall. This was to fix sort of a recurring argument we'd have where I'd go out and look at quarry spalls, and it would be either, 5/8 fine gravel, or it would be, fist-sized river rock. And just to smooth everything over, we've included a definition. Very minor change, probably won't affect anyone all that much. Other thing we've added is definition of EMPs, best management practices, for our erosion control. So erosion control is important to us. We are in the Lake Whatcom watershed. We really want people to be deploying these best management practices. So we've just linked some more resources to find out what best management practices are, because they change based on your region. If you're used to working in Eastern Washington, it might be good to review the Western Washington guidelines. We've reworded our minimum living space. So previously this said footprint. That got people confused because they thought that the base of the building was what we're looking for, when really we're looking at just interior space overall. So that should clear that up. Stumps. So another one of our sort of recurring things is people would argue, well, I have a stump in the way of putting up my silt fence. For those not, I know we have got some residents here who are not intimately familiar with what a silt fence is, it's a plastic barrier that stops runoff from leaving the construction site. So people would go to dig into silt fence and they'd say, well, I can't because that's soil disturbance. Or they say, I can't, there's a stump in the way, I can't remove this stump, that's soil disturbance. So we've reworded our definition of soil disturbance, and we are going to be allowing on a case-by-case basis the removal of stumps before you've passed your erosion control inspection, which was a barrier before. I see some people are happy about that. So,
Yes.
That's a highlight of the changes the improvements we've made. A lot of focus has gone into erosion and erosion control. Some good examples Jerry came up with. Good.
So, the last thing, on that topic of erosion control and quarry spalls. So the main place we're requiring quarry spall is at the construction entrance. And everyone is required to install a construction entrance. What quarry spall does is prevent what's called track out, that is sediment leaving the site. So previously that was our only requirement, was that there was quarry spall as the construction entrance. The problem is quarry spall wasn't always possible depending on the lot. It could be too steep for quarry spall, for example. So we've just expanded the BMPs that you can implement to meet that construction entrance requirement. Again, just giving people some more options that should knock down the amount of track out, reduce the amount of fines that we're issuing for erosion-related things.
One of the reasons, excuse me for interrupting, but one of the reasons why that track out is so important to us and limiting it is because we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year keeping ditches and culverts clear. We spend tens of thousands hiring professional street cleaners to come in and go through and remove road debris, again, to keep it out of the drainage system. It hurts when we spend all that money and then we drive past a construction site and we see dirt and mud and debris all over the road because it ends up in the ditches and then we have to pay to scoop it out. So we really appreciate adherence to that particular rule.
In line with this, we have created a rule guide for erosion-resistant ditches. One of the problems we've been running into is it doesn't matter if you're following all of the BMPs if it's going to end up in a ditch that is not properly erosion controlled and therefore just draining sediment into a watershed. So we've just included a diagram in the appendix. This is just a guide. This is not going to be required in each property, but it is going to be in our architectural control policies, and we may require this depending on the specific site.
I got this. Jerry's very knowledgeable about erosion, and so it's a passionate area for him, so that's why we called him audible at the last moment that he presented that. I'm going to go through very quickly. I will draw your attention to the important items to note, but I definitely don't want to read the chart to you. We're recording, it's available, so what I'll tell you is on fees and fines schedule, no changes between 2025 and 2026. So here we go. If you ever wanted to see them, let me see if there's, I like this, fines may be appealed, but fees may not be appealed. Everyone know the difference between a fine and a fee, right? Fine you appeal, fees you can't. Right. Architectural control fees. The areas in here we get a lot of interest on are the tiered construction. This is somewhere in between a new house construction and an exterior alteration. Depending on the criteria of factors triggered, tier 1, 2, or 3, there's a fee schedule that goes with that. I go over that with whoever's submitting the request, but awareness on that. The other item to note on this is extensions. Let me backstep for a moment. So in 2025, we made it easier to get an extension. we made the extension, used to be $5,000 for 6 months. A lot of people said, I don't need 6 months, give me 6 weeks. And so we said, all right, let's go to a month-to-month basis. For $850 a month, you can buy off 1 month increments. These are represented here. The first extension is 6 months, $850 a month. Do the math, it's $5,100, call it a handling fee. The next extension, good for an additional 6 months, will make it a little more painful for you, $1,700 a month. And then the third extension, for up to a year, is still $1,700 a month. And the item to note here is you can't go beyond 36 months in an extension. You lose all your monies and everything, you have to reapply. I'll take a moment, questions?
Is the updated document on the website now?
Current.
As Joanne said, okay, good.
Current.
And it's updated only annually, probably. Is that?
When there's a significant change, we're doing an update to our AC policies, which is not this meeting, but another, that introduced those definition changes and illustrations. We're shooting for an April 1st release to the website.
Okay.
But we wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Alan, could you give me an example of a fine that somebody would be charged a fine for?
Just sort of the construction site.
Okay.
You're responsible for maintaining the cleanliness of the site.
And
That's the fine.
who enforces that?
It takes a village. Security has a list of all active construction sites at any given time, and they visit them every single day.
Yeah.
And if they see that materials have been left on site untarped, or if there's been demo of something and there's a bunch of trash laying on the ground, or if builders...
Construction hours.
Yeah, construction hours. Another violation that frequently gets called out is excessive noise or noise after hours. And like I said, security drives each site each day, gives us a report. And if the neighbors complain, security will go out and check. If security says there's an issue, they'll send pictures and document it, and those pictures are provided to you as a little bit of proof to say, hey, this really happened and this is what we're talking about.
In what stage does the fine get levied at? So a neighbor makes a complaint that construction material, for example, is blowing into their yard. So they call security, security comes up and documents that, and then that information goes to who?
It comes back to management, so I see them, and our maintenance manager sees all the reports from security, and Alan sees all of them.
Okay.
So if it's something that we just want to fix, we'll call or email sometimes, depending on what it is. If it's just a plain old violation, then you may be fined because of that. One of the most common ones, honestly, is road closures without warning, or a road closure without flaggers, or a road closure with fake flaggers. You know, flaggers have to have a certification, and standing out with a sign that you ran off your printer that morning is not a flagger, just so you know.
So where I'm going for this is, what about if this is a recurrent problem and as a neighbor you're wondering, gee, did they ever get fined over this? So how can the neighbor be sure that action was actually taken on this and the rules that you're setting out are actually being enforced? How can an association member find that out? I've been told that this is private information.
It is private, because a violation is a violation against the property, and it's not just active construction sites that may accrue a violation, right? We have homeowners who don't follow the rule for bringing their garbage cans in after 24 hours of pickup. There are many rules, and they're all online in our governing documents, and it would be beyond rude to share information about a particular property and whether or not they were fined for something. But rest assured that every time someone complains, it is documented and it is followed up on. And either a conversation is had or a warning is issued. Sometimes the issue is, the warning is verbal, sometimes it's written. And if the behavior is not corrected, or if it's just something that happens at a moment in time and it's a serious violation, for example, one of the things that can be a violation is having a heavy machinery with track pad on the asphalt, because that will rip up the asphalt. And if we see that, it's just a violation. There's no warning, you're just charged for it. And there are some of those that apply to homeowners as well. For example, setting off fireworks. There's no warning, you're just fined. Having a recreational fire during a burn ban, you're just fined. So that's how the system works.
Okay, thank you.
Continuing on with the fees, so.
Al?
I was just curious, you stated that you need to have a professional trained flagger.
For certain kinds of road closures, right?
For what?
Yeah, or whatever it is. There's a policy around having professional certified flaggers.
When did that go into effect?
It's in the.
always been there.
It's always,
I've never seen one.
yeah, I can help you with it.
What's that?
I can help you find it. where
Oh,
it is.
no, I'm not, I don't think that'll be a problem, but I've never seen an actual certified flagger up here.
The place off of, they hire flaggers and certify them. They're part of the trucking company off of, north of Woburn. Was it Hannigan? Hannigan Building Supply, anybody help me? Near the Hannigan Construction?
Seeing that near grocery stores?
The point,
Yeah, it's right, anyway, they are available.
the point
I know
is,
they're available.
Yeah.
My question is really, I mean, it's like, when I'm building a home, I'm usually the flagger. And so like when trucks come to drop stuff, I'm out flagging.
If it's less than a 15-minute closure, you don't even have to warn us about it.
Yeah.
You just have to, drop and go, and that's fine for you to direct traffic
Right.
around the truck. But if it's longer than that, you are supposed to have a flagger.
And they have to be certified.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick certification.
Yeah. So I guess I'm getting certified.
most trucking companies or delivery companies offer that kind of, if you ask for it.
Right.
For a fee, of course.
Continue.
Yeah, but yeah, if you get a certification, make sure you have the right signaling. Come on in. Apparatus, you're fine.
Okay,
All right,
sounds good.
All
Thank you.
thank you.
Our roads are hard to navigate.
What's that?
Our roads are hard to navigate.
They are. Yeah.
So-
No, we bend over backwards, but they're tough.
Okay. So tiered construction, extensions, that's what we covered here. New constructions, if you don't do your things, disregard of a stop work order, that's significant. We have a pretty stiff process for stop work orders. We don't play around. Okay. There are other violations. Sometimes when you violate something in the covenants, bylaws, rules, and regulations, we have a sequence to things. This delineates what the sequence and the stair step to it is. Failure to comply, erosion control, cleaning, emptying trucks. That's a big one. Anyone have any questions about how to clean your cement trucks in a container? Okay. Trees. Big thing, talking about certified. Somebody felled a tree incorrectly using inappropriately trained somebody with a chainsaw, and disaster ensued. Cut across a road. I don't think any property damage was done, was it? But it was.
No, but it was an extremely large tree. It fell across a road. It missed a house by about 10 feet, and there were children playing in the yard. Like everything that could go wrong.
Was this last year?
24.
24.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah.
I watched after it had happened.
So I'm sorry to interject here, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is that your subs are licensed and bonded and registered with L&I. Our regulations have long stated that it is the responsibility of the general contractor to ensure the licensing of the subs. If there's an unlicensed contractor, that is a significant fine, and we will shut the project down while we sort it out. And if the window is already so small that you don't want to incur that.
And I am checking the L&I details of every contractor. That goes twice for every tree contractor. I do check the L&Is every time a tree permit is issued, we will check, so,
Fair warning.
fair warning.
Excuse me, how is it with that rule in place? It seems kind of common, I've only lived here 2 years, but I've heard this at least 4 times, that trees get cut down illegally or without getting a permit. Like how does that happen given the rules that we have? Is it just because people just want to ignore the rules, or do they say, oh, I didn't know about this?
A lot of people say I didn't know, it doesn't matter. If we have evidence that you cut trees without SVCA permission, we will fine you. It's up to $5,000 per tree. And Washington state law treats taking someone else's timber like you stole their horse in the Wild West. There are very stiff fines
Sure.
for messing around with people's timber.
But if it's your timber.
If it's your timber, you're gonna be in trouble with the association.
That's usually the issue, it's on your property or whatever, so in that case.
Well, I have a lot of good tree stories, but there are many chainsaws in the world, and there are very few people who are qualified to operate them. And things happen. We've had terrible, terrible stories. People going on to empty lots to take down a tree so their kid could more easily mountain bike through the lot. Crazy stuff. And vice versa. We've had owners of lots who live overseas. There's a hazardous tree on their property, we can't get in touch with them to get permission to take the tree down, and it's clearly a hazard. So trees are a big issue, and we are very, very vigilant, but we have 4,000 acres. And what, a regular staff of about 28 people? Well, that doesn't work very well. So we do ask that if residents see something going on that they don't think is right, that they let us know. We never tell who made a complaint or who made us aware of an issue. We just go out and check it out on our own.
I have a quick question. This is regarding, currently, what is the process? Does it go through the SVCA and approved by the county? If it's a normal process?
Sure, no, they're concurrent. You need county approval for significant trees measured as by diameter.
Right.
We have our own requirements that in many cases go parallel. We suggest that you approach both concurrently. We'll ask you, have you filed for your county permit? We'll work with you, timing-wise, but we'd like to see that you've got your permit before you fell your tree. And that's when we say, first you make the request, then you get your tree permit, and that's when we say, are you all lined up? That help? You wanna add to that?
Oh, just one thing. We will not issue a tree permit for new construction before a REPA. That's our revocable encroachment permit application. We'll come to that in
We'll come to that.
a few slides.
Yeah. All right.
And there are different rules around trees that are deemed to be imminently hazardous and those that are just potentially hazardous or being removed for some other reason.
A little more focus on the permit and extension timeline. The focus is, we broke it down, made it available monthly, but some of y'all forgot to make your payments. So we've implemented some steps. You'll get an email reminder from Monday, a month before, that says, hey, you're reaching the end of your permit time. And that's when you file your extension permit request. Your permit expires, and then you have to make, when you've made the request and it gets approved, your permit it gets extended. The payments are due on the anniversary of the expiration. So the first month's payment is due just before the expiration of your permit. The next one a month later, the next one a month later. We've prepared 2 letters that you'll receive outlining the monthly dates and amounts that it's going to be due. And then the other one will be your normal decision letter, but it covers all new extension stuff. Quick on the timeline, new feature for you, If environmental conditions around here or frozen ground prevent builders from completing landscaping requirements for a final inspection, if everything else is done but the ground's frozen, you can't plant whatever your cover or your whatever your work, a contingent final inspection may be issued. That'll give you some time. So we'll say a conditional approval, you get your final, and then Jerry and I will follow up with you when you complete your work to do that. It allows for a measure of closure.
The benefit is you don't have to apply for another extension. The downside is that contingent final, we're still keeping your deposit until all the plants are in the ground or the ground cover is applied.
Can I ask a question?
Diane, go ahead, thank you.
Okay. I'll lower my hand. I was just wondering if it's possible, maybe you're going to talk about it later, but how trees are selected for removal for a building permit, or just building construction, like how is that done? It does seem like, I don't know, it seems like it used to be trees were protected as much as possible. Now it seems more like clear cutting when on a building site.
This is Daniel, I'm the ACC chair. I don't think that is the case. I mean, we have plenty of submissions where there's a virtual clear cut, and we do push back considerably, and that is part of what we do. The trees that are cut, we always do insist on a replanting of some sort. And I think that's an important issue with that last thing we talked about with contingent approval for landscaping, because we would like to be very specific about how things are replanted. But I cannot think of a property where we allowed a clear cutting. Oftentimes it appears that there is a clear cutting, but we had an example just last week about it was almost a complete clear cut. But we did insist on them coming back with a better solution for trees that needed to be cut. Oftentimes it's because of utilities or drainage that they tell us the trees need to be cut, and we ask for more creative solutions to, we go to these properties and we see that this is a really significant tree and it's an important tree for the neighborhood. So if that's the case, we look for other solutions, but we generally do not consider clear cuts.
Thank you. Good question, Diane, thank you. Pushing on, wall of text. Here's what's the focus on. Second bullet from the bottom, no extensions granted after 36 months. The project will have to resubmit for ACC approval, paying additional new construction application fee and original building deposit, $7K and $20K. We really want it done. Next bullet down, failure to obtain ACC approval for the new construction time limit extension before the current permit expires may result in a fine. If you lapse your permit, you'll get a fine. That's why we're trying to warn you a month ahead of time. I think 3 days ahead of time, it says your payment is due.
It's a week.
A week ahead of time, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're doing all we can to help you remember to do it, but we can't
We can't pay it for you.
lead a horse to water or something like that. Hi, welcome, come on in.
I think another point to remember is we don't follow exactly with the Whatcom County extension schedule. We have our own.
Yeah, thank you.
So the question was, Alan, the permit extension is what, 6 months?
First time,
First time, right?
yeah,
How long can you get extended for a project?
3 years. 3 years, 36 months from breaking ground.
3 years and 6 months.
The first year,
Right.
6 months, 6 months, 1 year, that's 2, then a year, so 36 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there any criteria to see whether they made significant progress, or, someone can just say, hey, I'm taking a break?
We fine you if you don't finish. If you let it lapse and fine you, it's $1,000 a penalty, $1,000 plus $100 a day.
But that's if you let it lapse. What I'm
Right.
saying is, you're extending out to 3 years, but what if someone wants to take a break, right? You get an extension 6 months and
Yeah,
they walk away from the project. We've got some stuff up on, Upper Clematis. And it looks like they walked away, so I don't know.
Yeah, we have no recourse for that situation.
So
And that is why the extension fees have become so expensive, because we're trying to use an economic incentive to ensure that construction is completed expeditiously. The original instructions for the timing of new construction project, it's in the restrictive covenants, is all new construction must be completed within 12 months. That stricture was put on new construction prior to the implementation of the soil disturbance window. So now we kind of have a race day feeling as May the 1st approaches, and everyone who's breaking ground tries to get everything approved so that they are ready to hit the ground running on May 1st, because it's a pretty tight window. Right, Gus? I concur here. Yeah, so it's quite challenging. If a builder is a large-scale business, if they are operating a large-scale business, sometimes it's more economical for them to do construction on different parts of the house in waves, and it may appear that construction has been halted, when in fact they're just waiting for the framers to come in, the roofers to come in, the drywallers to come in, blah, 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 right? And we don't have the staff to inquire, nor is it our business to inquire how a contractor is running their job, which is why we have the rules that we have, because we can easily apply those. Here's a time limit, do your best. If you have to go over it, it's going to cost you.
Does the time start when the first tree, if they have to remove trees, does time zero when, because I'm envisioning a situation where they have to remove some trees before they actually excavate the place. So does the time zero start when they're cutting down trees or when they are excavating? Or is that a kind of a loose?
It's generally when we issue the tree permit, though certain circumstances can change that one way or the other. Because there's such a short window when you can break ground, and tree removal and breaking ground almost always go together. Sometimes there's a shortage of arborists, and so that might push the start date of construction one way or the other.
We used to say breaking ground would be a good description, but now it's more about the ability to get started, you know? That's more, sorry.
Well, we have had situations where ACC approved a construction and for one reason or another they couldn't start, and they'd have to reapply. So I guess I don't know if it restarts or...
The difference is they haven't broken ground, right? You can do all this stuff and delay and everything and administrative, but once you break ground, whether it be clearing trees or getting ready for erosion control and other stuff. That's what I was going to say. We used to say breaking ground, but now I'd rather say activity at the site. You know, that's the question.
So, could it be a possibility to have a construction start? You say May 1st it starts. Can you break ground? You break ground June 1st?
June 1st.
June 1st.
June 1st.
Okay.
Sorry.
31st.
Yeah, May 31st. My mistake, it's June 1st.
Okay, and so, my big challenge is like, if there's a, private homeowner that wants to build, you know, they haven't built all the time, but they want to go in and build, and they go ahead and plan it, and they planned everything perfect, all the ducks in a row, but then it starts June 1st, and then there's a hang up with the foundation, you know, it takes 2 months. Okay, so they cram and slam, and they finally get things done at the September 31st, but then all they have is a foundation, and they have the groundwork. What happens is that takes them into the winter months, which makes for a wet frame. A wet frame creates mildew, and it's not a good form of construction. Plus, you're working in the rain, and all kinds of things get tracked around.
Yeah.
Why not have it during that time for the, if it was planned out, to go ahead and do the foundation, do the groundwork, have it all done, and then have the possibility of coming back the following year when it's warm and the conditions are good, to finish it in good weather and less erosion and tramping.
I understand what you're asking. It would be an exception to our processes. We need a board approval for our policy change. Because the description right now is you shall finish your construction in 1 year.
Yeah, but this has happened twice to me, and it's created a water, challenge for the fall.
Understand. When I speak with potential buyers who, I'm trying to give an impression to what it's like, what I typically say, it's a race to get your erosion control, your foundation in before the watershed soil removal quarantine sets in. Then it's weather related. You have good weather, you can do your infrastructure, what is it? Framing, thank you. Framing, get your walls and roof up before the weather really gets nasty, but I'm not a project manager for you, so I can't predict what that looks like.
Well, I know what it looks like. I've lived here all my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking you, okay, so what's it gonna, let's say, say there's only 1 year. Okay,
Yeah.
so it started June 1st, then it's June 1st following year.
Correct.
So can you repeat what the costs are that are incurred for going beyond that point?
It's $850 a month for the first 6 months, or $5,100. It's $1,700 a month for the next 6 months, and then $1,700 for the next year. I don't think I have the math, but. Yeah. no.
5,000, 10,000, 20,000.
No,
We would really like you to finish in 12 months.
1,700 is for every month?
Yes.
Question.
I just want to clarify, what does June 1 indicate? If people want to build, if there's a lot or something here?
No, Watershed Moratorium Act, where you can't move more than 500 square feet of soil.
Prior to June 1st, it all has to occur, all soil disturbance of that scope has to occur between those the June 1st and September 30th.
So massive grading, scraping of soil, all that stump clearing, well more than 500 square feet. So that can only take place May 31st to June 1st through September 31st.
So if someone had to cut down some trees on their where they're going to build,
Yeah.
Ideally, at least for the animal, you don't want to cut down their homes when they're trying to breed, so it's ideal to cut them in the fall. But you're saying, no, that's probably not doable because of the act, is that what I'm hearing?
Stumps.
Yeah.
You couldn't pull the stumps. Generally, we allow felling of the trees in Whatcom County.
You can
allows
fall the tree and leave them there and move your stumps around to accommodate the silt fence. You just can't do massive grading or removal of everything, because then you're moving too much soil.
So you might start cutting trees down, if this is a concern, in the fall, and then wait until June 1 the next year to start other things, is that what you're?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So if you have any questions about it, we have a wonderful partnership with the ACC, the Arctic Drone. Throw up a balloon, do an in-concept review. Just say, hey, I'd like to do this and this and this. What do you guys think? And then, a couple of minutes invested time, and we can get back to you and let you know.
Yeah. So in the interest of time,
Yeah.
I'm going to interject and review very quickly the common violations. I'm not going to explain them, but I'm just going to go really fast through them, okay? First one is parking. This is slide 18. Contractors can't park on the road. Done. That means if you have a lot of guys coming and you don't have enough spots on your lot, you're going to have to carpool. That's just the way it works. We get a lot of reports of sites that are not kept clean. Building materials are supposed to be tarped and piled. We see a lot of sites where the stuff is just thrown every which way because you're working and you didn't take time to clean up. Unfortunately, that's not allowed. Hours of operation, in the summer, May 1st through October 31st, 8 a.m. to 6, with the exception of concrete work. Saturday, 8 to 5, with the exception of concrete work. So you can basically get a variance if you're having to pour, because we know it's hard to get a pour. Non-summer hours, November 1st through April 30th, 8 a.m. to 5. We have a lot of violations on that, so please keep up to date on what the hours are supposed to be. This good neighbor stuff, music from the construction site is kind of like a burr under a saddle blanket, right? The neighbors are dealing with the heavy machinery and everything else, and then finally that heavy construction part of it is done, and then the framers start, blasting, I don't know, Metallica, and everyone goes berserk in the neighborhood. The rule is the same. If it can be heard beyond the boundaries of your property, it's too loud. As we get into building exterior lighting, I can't tell you how many finals have been disrupted because the contractor had to go back, remove the glass from the exterior lighting fixtures and frost them. Okay, we know in advance they have to meet the criteria that's listed in the policy guideline. So, 23.
Submission deadlines. New construction application, normally it's a week. We tell residents, we ask you guys for 10 days. We need it on the Monday before you want to apply. So Jerry and I get an opportunity to review the packet, check it for missing stuff, fill in all the blanks. We just need a little extra time. Other forms. Okay, that's pretty good. Moving on. Which form? Builders don't use exterior alteration requests, fence requests, tree removal requests. You guys have your own set of requests. The big thing you use most often, new construction, if you have a variance, that goes with the request. Jerry, you want to talk about the REPA?
Sure, the REPA, the Revocable Improvement Permit application. So this is our general permit for Sudden Valley. Specifically, what it does is anything connecting to our right-of-way, so that's utilities, that's your driveway, that all needs to go through the REPA. The REPA also details any work that you're going to be doing in the right-of-way. Mostly this is culverts. If for some reason you can't meet the requirements for a culvert, common one is your neighbor built his house in 1983 and he put cement right over his culvert and now the ditch is 6 inches deep. And if you sink your culvert down a foot deep to meet the modern standard, well, you just, congratulations, made yourself. So if you need a variance or something like this, the sooner you bring it up, the better. If you spring it on us last minute, it's going to turn into a whole thing. Ideally, you should tell us, hey, I'm probably going to need variance for my culvert when you first apply. Because if we can't reach an agreement on what your culvert's going to do, and it's already time, you've already gone through the ACC, and it's at the last moment, well, that's your permit. You can't do anything until that problem's resolved. So please, 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 sooner than later, figure out everything that's going into.
Thank you.
There's another problem here. Recently, we had a property where the design that was approved by the county had the installation of a stormwater vault on Sudden Valley property in the right of way, okay? That was the best solution for the property, so it was fine, but that has to go to the board for approval. The board may not be able to include it on the next agenda. You might have to wait a month and a half to get them. And then we also have to sign an easement with the county, giving the county access to Sudden Valley land. You don't want to get involved with that. It's very expensive and very time consuming.
Back to the forms. As you're going along and you decide a design change or something else, color change, you can always do a change request. You also request inspections. There's 4 of them: erosion control, setback, driveway, and final. Extension and reapproval request. Construction exceeding 12 months or construction not started within 90 days. Questions? You can find all the forms online at our website, commonly requested forms. ACC meeting times. We meet the first and third Thursday of each month. The first meeting of the month is 9 AM on Zoom. The next meeting of the month is Thursday, right here. Builders are always welcomed and encouraged to attend the meetings, see what's going on, get the pulse of things, and so on. Acknowledgement decision emails, two different kind of feedback mechanisms. An acknowledgement email includes the attachment of the documentation that we'll review. You send me the request, I put it back to you in the format I'm going to show it in. Your responsibility to make sure it's what you want. The decision is emailed only to the homeowner, the requester, builder on file. That's the result of the ACC meeting, so if you have any questions, let me know about that. Jerry.
So, new construction SMIL meetings. So you've gone through the ACC, or maybe not. Depends on when you want to schedule this. Typically though, people do go after they've gotten approval from the ACC. And this is basically, oh wait, that's the other one. Disregard. This is before you go through the ACC. And this is basically a meeting with me. We take your 7,000 and we go through, does the ACC have all the information to make a decision? So things that hold us up here, site plans with missing scales, things like that. You didn't include a driveway cross section, potential for an ADU. Things like that. So basically, if it's a policy that your plans are in violation of, this is where it gets caught. If it's something such as you need to file a variance for your setback, things like this. After we've gone through this process, we'll have another meeting to go over the rest of our policies, but this is the new construction spill meeting. Please schedule those sooner rather than later so we can catch anything before it's a week and you're going to go before the architectural control committee and I say you're in violation of this, this, and this, and this, and what you're doing past. So.
Next.
All right, so this is the other meeting I was talking about. This is the $20,000 meeting. This is me covering a lot of the common ways people get fined, making sure that you're aware of all of our policies and our expectations for work in Sudden Valley. This is a great time to ask any questions about any of our policies, or a great time to bring up some minutia of your project. I like to say it's better to get permission than forgiveness, because forgiveness is in short supply. So bring it up here. So, Whatcom County, you need your Whatcom County permits before I'm going to sign off on anything. If there's some huge thing that county hasn't signed off on and it becomes an issue, well then that's on me. Why didn't I catch that? So, do not please show up and say, hey, here's my plans, county has signed off on none of it. And then by the time you get county approval, you have a completely different project. Well, that's not the project we signed off on. You're going back through the ACC. You know, where's the logic of that? So save us some headache, save yourself some headache, and save yourself especially some cost, and get the county permits stamped before you come to us. I know that's not always possible, but please, please, please try. All right, pre-construction meeting. Also when you're going to this this meeting, please have your $20,000 check ready. During this meeting, we also go over the minutia of the REPA, and we try and fill out most of your tree permit.
About 2 weeks out.
About 2 weeks out from the start.
Yeah, and a note about payments, we do not accept cash.
Don't laugh.
I've never had any, so.
Yeah,
We've had people paying tax.
Well, not anymore.
right.
Taxes, I'll say. So we've covered this briefly, description of your, the work we're going to be doing in the right of way goes active on there. So, we'll need your connection map. Does have to be a map so that our facility manager has something to look at. This does have to come with the permit. Again, we don't allow any unpermitted work to be done. This is our permit, and we're not going to give you our permit unless we see that you have Whatcom County permits. So, you want to cover this? Or?
Sure. A lot of, Jerry said it earlier, get permission rather than forgiveness. A lot of times we get change requests after the fact, and I go to Daniel and I go, hey, I got a change request for doing this, and he looks at it and goes, this looks like it's already been done. And I gotta go, yeah, so that's a fine, don't do that. All right. Make construction changes. We have 2 meetings a month. We work real quickly to accommodate your request. Get through. Road closures. Let's touch on this a little bit. First off, where to find it. On our website, it's in green, right there. Road closure request form. I work very closely with Jerry. We get all the information I need, and then I publish it. And I check it daily, and multiple times a day. The big thing we want to know is things to highlight, nothing on Fridays. No road closures on Fridays. We have an agreement with Sanitation Service Company, we stay out of their way. We don't like grumpy trash truck drivers. We work very hard to stay there. And of course, follow the times of operation and everything. Partial or full closure, flaggers, will accommodate you.
And notifications. Okay, so if you're doing a concrete, you have a 48-hour requirement to notify any property that's touched.
Right. Okay, moving on.
All right, erosion control. So this needs to be done for any soil disturbance. As I covered earlier, we've sort of changed definition of soil disturbance. So we are allowing any soil disturbance that is required for installing your BMPs. So you can dig a trench to put in your silt fence, and you can remove any stumps that are in the way of you putting your silt fence. The logic behind this is it doesn't make sense for us to be issuing fines for that because you did not put in your best management practices because you hadn't passed through it. Right? We want these BMPs in as soon as they're able to be put in. You know, this is really just about preventing sediment from entering our water supply, entering our ditches. So, so after erosion control, that's when you can start digging your foundation. Now, section number 2. Setbacks, you're going to be familiar with all. I ask that you have staked and strung your property line, so I don't have to, you know, give the old Mark 1 eyeball test, which could lead to false denial. You know, you don't want that delay. So please stake and string your property line, and additionally, I like somebody on the property just so I'm not hunting around for nails to, you know, stick the end of my tape in. So, do not pour your concrete before you've had your setback inspection. 1, it's an immediate fine. 2, if I go out there and your setbacks aren't where you're supposed to be and the concrete's sitting in form of securing, well, then you have an expense that I don't think anyone wants to pay, which is jackhammering up your foundation that you just poured. So please set the forms and then call don't say, well, I'm on a tight schedule, you know, he'll just sign off on it after the fact. Like I said, permission, not forgiveness. So, same thing with driveway, don't pour, before I've got there. I haven't ever issued a fine for pouring your foundation, but I have issued fines for pouring a driveway before I got there, so don't do that. I want to see the forms in place. That includes the little curvatures at the end of the driveway. I don't mark off on chalk, is what I like to say. A lot of times I show up for a driveway inspection and there's some spray paint on the ground. Well, I mean, yeah, sure, theoretically that's where your driveway is going to be, but your forms aren't up, so I can't really guarantee that's what you're going to build. And I especially can't guarantee that there's going to be strip drain in it by the time you pour. And I do follow up on these things. If you say, well, I'm going to trowel in a swale, I say, okay, but I'm going to be checking that during your final. I'm going to be making a note of it. So.
The number one thing for me that I asked Jerry to follow up on, a lot of the lots here are very steep, is the slope of the driveway. Right. We recently in 2025 reduced it from 20% to 15%. And so, and then we have a number of measures that we go along with, from raking to brush finishes to whatever, but it's hard.
The other thing that gets, at risk of going over a timeline here, the other thing that gets caught during driveway inspection is shallow culverts. This is why I said sooner you can catch these things, the better. Because if I catch that your culvert is only buried half a foot down, well then it's gonna have to go get retroactively, you know, you're either gonna have to rip it up and dig it deeper, or we're gonna have to, you know, call Mike Brock on the lines, ask for permission. That will hold up your entire schedule, and you're gonna have to call your concrete guy and say, come back next month. So don't do that. All right. This is the final occupancy. So we're going to want to see the final occupancy from county. Exterior lights, please get those frosted or downward directed. Do not tape over the top of your light, can lights, and spray paint over it. I wish I was joking. Other things, soil over the property line, landscaping over the property line, that is technically trespassing. Juice mat mixing, you know, I don't like to go out there and see like mulch that I know is going to be gone in a month, and it's going to be at the bottom of the hill because there wasn't any effort to keep the mulch in place. Other thing, damage to the side of the road. If you have damaged your ditch, we ask that you restore that to pre-construction conditions. We ask that you allow it to not just soak in mud, basically. Same thing with shoulders, you need to repair those if people have been parking on the side of the road and damaging them. Okay, we do like to have at least 24 hours advance notice. You know, I'm not in the office every single day, so. And please, if you have to pour concrete, especially, get this out ahead of time so you can get approved before. If you're held up by anything, you don't want to already have the concrete truck coming. Common sense, but again, it's not as common as you think. We get a lot of these issues.
Yeah, every year we have to tell concrete trucks to turn around and go back.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
How do they make these requests, Jerry?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Alan. It's on our commonly requested forms page on our website, right next to a bunch of other things like our road closure request. So once you submit this, send me an email and I'll follow up on it. I might ask questions like when, if you didn't specify. If you want a specific time, just specify in the form, and 9 times out of 10 I can accommodate. Inspection summary. This is basically just a summary of what we just went over. If you have any questions about anything I covered during inspection, this is the time to ask.
Sometimes people want to occupy before your final. And we can do that in extreme circumstances. There's an agreement that needs to be signed by a bunch of different people. But basically, we put the punch list in there and say you have 30 days. If you don't fix everything on the punch list, there's big fines. But it lets people move in when you're just trying to get those last few things done.
All right, deposit returns. So big thing here, 2 to 3 weeks for processing. And you have to make a request, send an email to Alan saying you want it back. That's the big ones. Anything to add, Alan?
No.
Okay.
If your project has gotten fined or there were fees that went unpaid, we will charge you the fine during the construction project. We're not taking it out of your deposit, okay? However, if you haven't paid it, it will come out of your deposit at the end, but the deposit isn't a retainer. It's meant to be a full deposit. You had a question?
Yeah, I heard that setbacks have changed.
In 2025, the setbacks went from 15 feet to 20 feet combined sides, at least 5 foot side. Side setbacks, right? It
Right.
used to be 15 feet,
It used to be 5 and 5.
10
Yeah.
and 5.
5, I think it was 5 and
It was
5.
out, it was
Way
5
back.
and 5.
Way back. Yeah, so it's 20 feet now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes almost,
20 feet from the
that makes
front.
a lot of lots.
Size.
It's combined, so you can have 5 feet on one side and then 15 feet on the other side. It doesn't have to be 20 feet on both sides.
So what is that accomplish?
Same philosophy, the number was 15 before. So we're asking
No,
for,
it was 10,
It was,
5 and 5.
a few years ago, it was 5 and 5.
okay, so now we're asking for more.
That's difficult.
What about-
One of the things that's been happening though is that the economics of building are such that a builder wants the house to be as big as possible, as much square footage as possible to make a profit on it. And the expectation for new home buyers is they want these massive houses. I get it. But when you're in a neighborhood of houses that are older and they're not 3 stories and 40,000 or 4,000 square feet, right? It just looks silly because they're getting these enormous houses are being shoehorned into these neighborhoods.
No, I agree with that.
And we do consider, we go to these lots and we look to see, is there a green space next door? There are a lot of mitigating circumstances where we'll consider these variances, so you go maybe beyond that a little bit, but.
Yeah, because
that's
you're
sort
kind of dictating that people build towers.
Or back,
Or, if they have a room back there, that's cool.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people, there are a lot of houses here that are, literally 10 feet apart, and that's at the eaves, not.
But that's always been the setbacks.
That's how it's been, yeah.
So what-
So, I'm just curious, that's a big impact on building, huge. Makes a lot of lots non-buildable, so people's investments just went poof.
It was communicated in the builders meeting of 2024,
Okay,
effective January 1st, 2025. We haven't changed anything. The only changes we made from 25 to now are the definitions and additions we shared with you. So everything
Yeah.
there was there before.
And you can apply for a variance, and whether the committee grants a variance is very site dependent.
yeah.
So if it's a challenging site and perhaps it's narrow and then it's deep, but you have to put the house where it's narrow, that's all taken into consideration. What's on either side?
Are you gonna leave a lot of trees? There are a lot of, we look at each situation on its own merits, so. The numbers that you see in the policy guide are not set in stone. We will consider variances for almost everything. But the bottom line is we do look at the house and how it fits in with the neighborhood.
What about the front and the backyard?
Sorry?
The front is still 20
Setbacks?
feet,
20 is front,
20 is front, 5 is back.
5
5 is
is
back. There's a question from Ed on the phone. Ed, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're fine, go ahead.
I just got a quick question. Not a question, but more like a comment about the setbacks. With the introduction of the new setbacks, smaller lots are becoming almost unbuildable. And I'm talking about lots under 4,000 square feet. With the new change where the driveway is considered to be a part of the footprint, and these tighter setbacks, smaller lots are pretty much unbuildable. And so I'm just wondering if you guys have a solution for that other than just maybe asking for variances, because a lot of lots in Sudden Valley are under 4,000 and sometimes closer to 3,000 square feet on a sloped lot. So I'm just wondering, is that something that you guys are thinking about considering? Because it would make sense to go under the old rules with lots below 4,000 square feet, just so people don't lose their investments pretty much.
We have considered variances are there for a reason, and we have considered a few variances where the driveway just made more sense when it took up a little bit more space. And so we do look at this. We just don't want open space situations where there's just no open space anymore. That was a big consideration. But again, a variance is really your only way out of that, and we carefully consider each one.
Okay, so there are no plans to have any special rules for small lots, right?
Well, I think we will always take builders' feedback, and if it looks like a solution that we put forward isn't working or is not feasible, we'll consider that. Maybe we'll change the policy, but at this point, I think we're happy with it. I think that whenever that kind of thing is brought up with our neighbors, they're very happy with it too. So again, this is a dialogue between builders, neighbors, and the ACC. So if it's a big issue that keeps coming up, we'll look at that.
I have a follow-up question from Jake.
Yeah, evening. Jake Evans here with TC Legend Homes. I have another question about the side yard setbacks, which will be problematic. And my question is whether or not we can apply for the variance before we apply for the Whatcom County permit, so we don't prepare all of our stormwater work on the off chance that you may or may not pass, approve of the variance, while the permit is basically approved at all levels except for yours. So ideally, we'd see you for a variance before we go through the whole permitting process with the county.
Yeah, that is a common thing. We do have in-concept submissions. That is a common way builders test if their variance will go through, is by applying in-concept, which has no cost associated with it.
It's also non-binding and giving you the opportunity to float a couple of different balloons with regard to design and get feedback from the ACC that you can incorporate into the final. It seems a little weird to go for the variance first, but if you ask me about it, I would encourage you to do as much as you can, submit the whole package, and let it. I guess the short answer is we'll work with you. So there.
Okay, thank you. Could you just repeat, my hearing's not great, could you just tell me again the name of the process that I would apply for to get this pre-approval?
It's the new construction request form.
And you're going to ask for an in-concept submission.
Thank you.
Okay, it's an in-concept submission for new construction.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments people want to share?
One quick one, just very briefly, what is the footprint in terms of, is it a percentage of the square feet of the lot that cannot be covered with impermeable structures or what?
So it's a little complicated. So
If it's too complicated for now, don't worry about it, but I'm just.
It's very clear in the policies.
Okay, I'll look at the policies,
Yeah.
and if I have any further things, I can call.
And again, we've had some, I haven't seen any typos or anything in this PowerPoint, but the policies are what you look at. Don't go by our PowerPoint presentation here. Everything you need to know is in the policies, and we'll always be willing to talk to you about any other questions you have.
Okay,
Any other questions from the phone? I'm going to stop recording.
thanks so much for coming out. Hopefully this was helpful. We are going to post the recording